Well guys, here we are, the final game recap of the 2025 MLB season. Buckle up, because it was a doozy of a Game 7 of the World Series that will easily go down as one of the most heartbreaking contests in the history of the sport for the Blue Jays, as well as one of the most clutch performances from the Dodgers. With that being said, let's hop right into it. The first notable play of this contest would be in the bottom of the first, when George Springer led off with a single to left field. After a Nathan Lucas strikeout, it was Vladdy Jr.'s turn to hit, working a 3-2 count before taking a fastball over the low and outside corner. As Springer was in motion, the veteran was thrown out easily at second base. In fact, probably much easier than he should have been, because he just stopped running about halfway to the bag, I guess assuming it was a ball. This would be one of many off things that would happen offensively for the Jays in this one. They would have another chance in the bottom of the second when they got two guys on with nobody out. Then, after Alejandro Kirk and Dalton Varsho were retired, got a single from Ernie Clement. This featured another one of the exact moments I just said, as through no real fault of his own, Bo Bichette, who had drawn the leadoff walk, couldn't manage to score here because of his unfortunate injury that he was still playing through. Andres Gimenez would strike out shortly after, having them come away with absolutely nothing. It would be in the third, after the Dodgers went down quietly once again, having registered basically zero offensive pressure to this point for veteran Max Scherzer. Springer would lead off with another hit, then eventually make his way all the way to third base following a bunt and wild pitch. This led to a Vladdy Jr. intentional walk, bringing Bichette back to the plate, and the righty promptly made Dave Roberts pay for this decision by crushing a 442-foot missile to center field, getting his team out to a solid 3-0 lead. The Dodgers would manage to chip away in the fourth, loading the bases before getting a sacrifice fly from Teoscar Hernandez, but that was all they could do. A little scruffle would ensue in the bottom half of that frame when Gimenez was hit by a pitch from Justin Robleski, a situation that seemed to boil over largely just because of the tension of playing in a Game 7 versus anything rational, as there was zero chance there was any intent behind that. Tyler Glasnow would come in and manage to retire Vladdy Jr. to strand two guys on eventually. Louis Varland would do the same in the top of the fifth, after Scherzer departed with a guy on, bending but not breaking on an eventual inning-ending flyout to center field from Freddie Freeman. Another chip-away run from the Dodgers in the sixth, again on a sacrifice fly, was answered by a Gimenez double, with the two super teams trading runs, along with keeping a runner on second with nobody out for Toronto. This, to me, was the turning point in the entire contest, as Tyler Glasnow, the guy who had managed to close out Game 6, locked the rest of the inning down, retiring the heart of their order without giving up another run. It was at this point Trey Savage was brought in to help close things out, doing his job in the seventh by inducing an inning-ending double play turned nicely by Vladdy, then retiring Mookie Betts to lead off the eighth. But he too would be snake-bitten by a chip-away run, this time on a home run from Muncy, prompting John Schneider to go to Jeff Hoffman to close out the frame, which he did successfully, putting the Blue Jays just 3 outs away from their first World Series title since 1993. And for a second in the bottom half, it seemed like they were going to add on, getting a leadoff double from Ernie Clement, his 30th hit of the postseason, breaking the all-time record. But much like in the latter half of that sixth, they wouldn't be able to move him up from here, seeing George Springer and Davis Schneider be set down on strikes by Blake Snell. This takes us to the top of the ninth, LA's potential last at-bats of the season. After Kike Hernandez struck out on a slider in the dirt, it was looking awful bleak. It was then that something completely unexpected happened. Rojas worked Hoffman to a 3-2 count, then on the seventh pitch of his at-bat, got a hanging slider right down the middle, and crushed it out to left field for his first home run in over a month. All of a sudden, we were tied up. Would this manage to deflate the Jays, who had just come oh so close to the pinnacle? Well, for a second in the bottom of the ninth, it didn't seem so, as they managed to get two guys on with just one out, prompting Roberts to bring in Game 6 starter Yoshinobu Yamamoto to try to keep the Dodgers season alive. And things wouldn't begin well, with him plunking Alejandro Kirk, loading the bases with just one out. This meant all Toronto needed was a fly ball somewhere, a little pop-up over the drawn-in infield. Just pretty much anything other than a ground ball or strikeout from Dalton Varsho. But the veteran lefty couldn't manage to come through, instead tapping a ball at 77 miles an hour that was fielded on a great play by Rojas, who then threw to the plate just ahead of a pinch-running IKF. Even though it was reviewed, the call would stand. Still, Ernie Clement was coming to the plate, Mr. Base Knock himself, and on the first pitch of his AB, it seemed like he might come through, flying a ball 366 feet to left center field, even managing to induce a little confusion between Kike Hernandez and Andy Pages, which resulted in a leaping attempt and collision. Yet, somehow, through all of that, the ball was secured by Pages, meaning we would see extra innings for the second time in this fall classic. The Dodgers would basically do exactly what the Blue Jays did the inning before in the 10th, loading the bases with one out before seeing Andy ground into a force out, then Kike get thrown out at first base on a bang-bang play that ended up being challenged, but upheld. After a scoreless bottom, we were headed to the 11th. Two quick outs were then recorded by veteran starter Shane Bieber, bringing Will Smith to the plate, who, on a 2-0 pitch, would get a hanging slider right down the middle, and not miss it, crushing it out to left field for his second go-ahead home run of the series. And yet, even then, the Blue Jays didn't seem out of it, as they managed to get a leadoff double from Guerrero in their half, The tying run was just 180 feet away, then 90 when IKF bunted him over to third. After an uncompetitive walk to Addison Barger, it was Alejandro Kirk's turn to try to come through one more time for his squad. A fly ball pretty much anywhere, a line drive, heck, even a strikeout would still prolong things for one more batter at least. The only thing he couldn't do was what he ended up doing, grounding a ball to Mookie Betts, who grabbed it, stepped on second, and threw to first, sealing what has to be the most heartbreaking loss I've ever seen live for an MLB team. To get as close as Toronto did, having the Dodgers on the ropes for basically the entirety of Game 7, only to lose after squandering what felt like a near infinite number of opportunities, has to hurt like nothing else. To the Dodgers, I just have to say that was one of the most impressive displays of resiliency going the other direction as well, never giving up, never saying die, and eventually coming out as the first back-to-back champions since the New York Yankees in the late 1990s. Alright everybody, if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and if you did, consider checking out any of these other videos on your screen right now for other content just like this. Also, if you ever see anything you'd like to see me detail in the video, feel free to reach out to my email, baseballpoet@gmail.com, and if I end up using your idea, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks for watching, have a great rest of your day.